Hi there, Nigel Saunders of KW Bonsai. Today we're revisiting the elephant diorama with our cedar trees to look like acacia trees. It's been about a year since I put this diorama together. The sand here absorbs the water really well, and the moss grows like crazy on top of the sand, so I had to strip the moss off, the area under the elephants. I've done some pruning with the moss just to keep it under control. I've planted a lot of cuttings, cedar cuttings. Hopefully they'll live, I don't know. It's so far they're still green. And I've done a little bit of pruning to the top of the tree. Just pruning off some of the vertical branches to keep it a low spreading tree, sort of like the acacia trees in Africa. I like the look of the cedars imitating acacia trees. It kind of works well, I think. It has a rough trunk texture, feathery kind of branches. So we're going to prune up. I've got a couple other cedars here. This tree looks kind of lonely in the planting and it needs a couple of companions around it, so I want to put 2 more trees in the planting. I've got 4 cedars that I've collected, and I originally collected them for the Avatar forest, but I think they would look good with the this African elephant theme. So I've got kind of a twisty trunk one with a fairly straight trunk, a twin trunk, and a very spindly one with a very thin trunk. So I think I want 3 trees in this planting. Plantings usually look good with an odd number of trees. So I think I'm gonna pick this one, the one with the kind of curvy trunk. It looks like, an elephant may have damaged the trunk here and it's kind of grown crooked. It's got a good look for that. This one may work. If I cut the top off, it could be a good distant tree. This one I think is too tall and spindly with no lower branches. I don't think we'll use that one. And the twin trunk, it just doesn't have enough foliage up top to look convincing. So I think we're just going to use these 2 trees. We're going to start by pruning these trees. So we want this one to look like our acacia style tree, but further away. So we're going to prune it shorter. And there's some good kind of foliage in this area around here. So we're going to take it off to this branch. I think, let's try it here. I think we're going to go even lower. I'm going to go at this junction right here. Right there, that's a good height. That'll look like a tree way in the distance. Our other tree, we don't want it this tall, so I think somewhere around here. So let's prune it off here. Like so. We'll get rid of this long branch, which is not looking so good anyway. And there we're kind of left with a acacia looking tree. So now we have to determine where to position them in the pot. So I'm thinking I want this tree somewhere about here, so maybe replacing this cutting, and the other tree about here replacing this cutting. So I'm going to pull these cuttings out. So there's the root hairs. See the white tips? There's one there, and one at the very end there. So I'm going to put this back in some sandy soil, keep it moist, and we'll keep trying to root this cutting. This tree will go probably maybe just in front of this rock. So I'm going to remove the rock until we get the tree planted. I can see some cedar roots growing on the surface of the sand here. They really like this moist sand in here to grow in. So that tree can go in here. The other tree can go over here. I am going to have to move some moss and replant it around the tree. So I'll do that now. I'll lift the moss out carefully. There we go. We'll put it beside our rock. Yeah, that'll fit in nicely in here. So we'll start with this corner tree first. Let's get our tree out of the pot. There we go. And we'll rake out the roots. We'll get the other tree out of the pot also. Comes. There we go. And we'll start raking out the roots. These trees were potted, I think, this spring. So this is their first year training as a bonsai tree. So it looks like the roots are growing quite well in them, with them. The first repotting is just, you know, keeping as much root as you can within reason, just to keep the tree alive. I do always do some root pruning. There we go. And the second repotting, which will be now, starts to refine the root system. Getting nice radial roots, lots of fine feeder roots. Okay, so I'm going to wash the roots and then we'll do some root pruning. Okay, I'm going to prune off these lower branches, and some of these lower roots. This one here. I'm just untangling the roots, sorting them out a bit. Get rid of our long roots. Some of the roots that are sticking up. Shorten some of these straight ones. And there's probably not much more we can do at this stage. That'll do for that tree. Our next one, we've got a big root growing out of the side of the trunk here that's above the root plane. We want to get rid of that. And there's another one on the inside of the curve of the trunk here that we want to get rid of, like that. And there's another one up high here. And another one here. The rest aren't too bad. So we're just going to shorten all our really long roots here. You can see some of these black roots have died off. That just happens. That tree looks ready for planting. Our first tree is going to go in the corner here. And I'm just going to fool around with the angle on that. Make sure we get something that looks good. I may plant it on a bit of a hill. Kind of give a bit of depth to the planting so it's just not all flat. And the other tree I'm thinking somewhere in here. So I'm going to come back and have a look at these. And so I really like the tree behind the elephants there. I think it looks really good. It looks like it's in the distance. The one over this side, it's close. Maybe it needs to be closer to the main tree. I'm thinking maybe here. So my thoughts are, from looking back here, that it may need a third tree in that corner. So we've got the, you know, a group of 3 trees in the one corner. I like everything else, but I think it needs one more smaller tree behind it to give it a little more depth. So there's what it looks like with another tree kind of just roughly placed in the background. I think that'll look better. So I'll prepare that tree for planting and we'll come back. Here it is with the trees positioned. So I think I'm ready to plant. I'm going to dig kind of a pocket and put a lot of sand around them and then put the moss back on top. So let's get started. So we're going to do a little bit of pruning. We've got to trim the roots a bit to get it in the pot. Just at the back here. We'll dig out some of our sand. There are a lot of roots from this tree in the soil here, but they'll get reburied. There we are, we're down to our layer of bonsai soil now. Okay, and we can get this tree planted. Making sure our roots are combed out. That looks good. I'm going to check it from the front. It needs to be on a bit more of an angle. More like that. Let's get it planted. Cedars love water, so any tree that likes water, like larches, cedars, they can go in this sandy kind of soil. So our other tree was going to be planted in here. I think somewhere about there. I'm going to come forward and have a look at that. Yeah, it's not too bad there. I'm not really liking the position of this one now. I think maybe it's got to lean more towards the outside like this. And just take a bit more moss off of here. Get our roots raked out. And get ready to plant this one now. Which is going to be right in here. Oh, it fits pretty nicely in the corner here. I'm just going to trim a few of these roots away from the edge of the pot here. A few at the back here too. Just do a final comb out. That looks good. And then we'll get our sand on top of here and work it into the roots. When I water this, all the sand will run in between all the roots and surround them. So I'm going to come out front and have a look at it. Make sure it looks okay. So the tree furthest back, it's kind of not quite in position. So I'm going to fool around with that and try and reposition it slightly. It's okay, it just needs some tilting. Looks like it's leaning on the other tree. There we go, that looks better. Looks quite natural, actually. I like it. So we still have to plant the tree behind the elephants, but I'm going to water the 3 trees in the corner first and get them settled in. I'm going to plant the little tree here now. Move our elephant up a bit. Dig out a bit of a pocket for it. Make sure our roots are combed out, and we'll get the tree planted. And we'll give that a watering also. So our next step will be to plant our moss and our rocks back in position. We want to keep our pathway that the elephants are traveling on without any moss or rocks or anything. But we do want to fix this area up here. I've got some roots sticking out of the soil here, so I've got a nice patch of moss that I can put over them. Give this area a little green island around the trees. It's going to storm here any second, by the way. The wind's picking up. I heard thunder earlier. So that gives us a bit of an island there. I'm going to put some moss around this one also. Seems like every time I work on this planting, we get rain. Maybe it's just a coincidence, but I don't know. So this rock that was in the corner here, I don't think I'm going to be able to use it. It's just too large. So we'll use it in some other planting. Let's move our male elephant back into position here. Come kind of back there. Let's have a look at it. So there's the trees planted now. I like the 3 trees in the corner. They look really natural. It looks like they just grew there by themselves. That's it for today. Nigel Saunders of KW Bonsai. Do something green today. Plant native trees and shrubs in your yard instead of exotics that don't belong. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.